Processing.
When TV and radio collide.
Love it.
Wow. This is what you get. You're listening to JJ and Alex, presented by G2G Bars.
Don't touch that dial.
On 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Welcome on in, everybody. It is JJ and Alex, 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone. It is a Jazz game day coming up top of the hour. You're going to get Jazz pregame, walking you up to the tip-off against the Czechs Notes, other worst team in the NBA currently by record, the Washington Wizards.
Who's worse? We'll find out tonight.
Well, technically the Jazz are winning that game. Well, losing? Winning? Well, I get
cannot out-tank the Utah Jazz.
I don't know. At home, maybe they return the favor and we end up beating them. We'll see. Didn't we? Oh no, the Jazz ended up losing out there in Washington.
It was a battle to the end to try to lose, and the Jazz outlasted them.
Oh, it's such a weird time to be a Jazz fan. Very good times for us here in the state of Utah, though. Watching our local teams make it to the NCAA Tournament. Our program brought to you by G2G Bars and Trajan Wealth, bringing you this portion of the program. Trajan Wealth, TRAJAN Wealth.com for all your local needs in retirement. Dave Rose, former BYU head basketball coach. He's been on this program before, and we've chatted with Dave many, many times over the years. And, man, we were just going over this thing, Coach, and we had Greg Wrubell on, and he reminded us the last time that BYU won a first-round game in the NCAA tournament was during Jimmermania. And then that wasn't the crazy part. It was the next part that he said, which was 14 years ago. Do you feel old yet?
Yeah, that was a while ago, but there's a lot more interesting things that happened. One was we played Gonzaga in the second game, round of 32, and we ended up that summer joining the league with Gonzaga after thinking about joining the league with when they dismantled the Mountain West. All kinds of stuff happened in order. We were going to go to the I can't really remember the names of the league, but they invited all the teams from was it the WAC? I think it was the WAC we were going back to, and they invited Fresno State and they invited Utah State. They tried to disband that league so they would stop us from leaving, and then we actually ended up in the WCC. So we ended up. My wife and I, Cheryl, we actually did a cancer function with Mark Few and Marcy in Spokane that summer.
Wow!
And somebody in that group had told me that, hey, there's a chance that you guys might end up in our league next year. And I thought they were nuts, but it all happened. So who knows what happens this summer? Huh?
I love how that realignment looks like light work now compared to all the realignment we've seen in all the sports since then.
It's crazy, Coach, how much the game has changed and college sports has changed since it was just 14 years. I mean, it's crazy to think about that, but you've witnessed it all, and you see where BYU is right now in this second year in the Big 12 and the year they've had. What are your thoughts on what Kevin Young has been able to do in his first year with this team to get them to this point where they've been ranked in the top 25 and they finished tied for third in the Big 12, one of the best leagues in the country? Yeah,
it's amazing the job that he's been able to do in such a short time. And, I think that, the fact that Mark Pope left to go to Kentucky and the previous coach wasn't fired actually helps the new guy coming in. Because usually the guy gets fired, he's got a total rebuild, and he's got to try to turn that thing around. And, Kev had a lot of work to do. He had to come in and save some players and keep them here. And obviously he brought in 3 really, really good high-end players. But you look how this league went and the real core of the team and who they really relied on, it was those returning guys, the guys that he was able to bring back and to get a lot of those guys were on this team last year, especially Richie. Richie's had an unbelievable year. And that's kind of how BYU has been over the years. They win these the league championships and these tournament games with sophomores, juniors, seniors, and freshmen help. But the juniors and seniors are what kind of get it done for them.
Coach, one of the things I was listening to Steve Cleveland talking a little bit about you guys' experience and when you were on that staff and going to the NCAA tournament, and I think he said we lost his first round game, and Coach Rose and I looked at each other and we said, we got to prepare our guys better. And I remember thinking, I wonder what that looks like. Like, I mean, obviously getting ready for the NCAA tournament, you feel like, everybody knows how important these games are, but what does that mean to prep a guy or prep a team properly for the NCAA tournament? How do you get their heads into the right space to, take in this huge moment and to be in the biggest tournament? Somebody was bringing up today, they're like, this is the best tournament in the whole dang world, like of any sport, and there's nothing like it. And so how do you prep guys that are this age group to be ready for a moment like that?
Well, it's tough because they all come in, they all have their own feelings about the tournament, and growing up watching the tournament, growing up, maybe their brother or somebody else had played in the tournament or their dad had played in the tournament. But it's now in today's world, you're talking about the tournament in November. Back in our day when I played, you didn't talk about the tournament until you got into late February. And it's why you play college basketball, is to get yourself, first of all, qualified to get in the tournament, but second of all, when you get in the tournament, to actually, to win, advance, and move on. And it's so important, the fact that BYU is in the Big 12 now, and so if they win the league, or they finish second or third or even fourth in the league and have a great year, they're going to end up with a good seed. And when Coach Cleveland and I were doing this when we first started, we played Cincinnati. I think we were 11. Then we played Syracuse. We played Connecticut. Those are tough first round games. And the success that we had with Jimmer and where we were, we got to be, ranked in the top 5 during February. And then in March, we actually got a 4 seed that year, and we were able to win our first 2 games. So the seed's really important, and where you play is really important. And I think BYU set up really well with the 6 seed playing in Denver, and hopefully they can get a big win.
You watch the game different than we do. You have a set of coaches' eyes and years of following this game and watching it, knowing the ins and outs of it. When you're watching Kevin Young coach, and I'm sure you've been observing him in his position from where you sit in some of the games, what have you noticed about his evolution as a college coach and making that transition from the NBA to the college game? I'm sure it was a challenge for him, but what have you noticed about what he's been able to do as this year's gone on?
Well, I will tell you this, and this is my own opinion, okay? Obviously, you can quote me on this because I'm saying it on the radio. But I do believe that he is more equipped to coach in today's college game than a lot of really successful college coaches that are coaching in the game, because it's not a college game like we knew the college game when I was coaching it. This is way more of a professional game. Every one of these kids, or you don't call them kids, every one of these players have got their own corporation. They're more similar to the NBA than they are to the college game a few years ago. So I think he's done a masterful job at managing the group. The one thing that I'm really, really amazed at is the fact that he has played so many guys, 10 deep, 11 deep, until he got hurt, and so that, and he's managed that. You don't finish third in a league like the Big 12 with only 2 guys getting recognition in the league. Richie's a first-team All-League, and I think Jaeger was a all-freshman team player. And that's it. And the reason is because he played so many guys. And this group of guys help him win that matchup, and this group of guys help him win that matchup. And they finished, think about it, tied for third in that league, and with only 2 all-league players. And that just tells you that you're playing a lot of guys, and a lot of guys are contributing to making this happen.
I'm curious, Coach. I have to ask, if you were coaching now and you had the resources that BYU currently has, you had NIL and some of these things, but also the challenges that come with that, would you embrace that? Would you have been excited about all those things, or did you really appreciate your day when you were coaching the Cougars?
Well, it all depends on your age. If you're a young guy and you want to be a basketball coach for your career, you'll embrace it and take it and run with it, and figure out a way to make that work for you. You know, the older guys are the guys that, I mean, and you can just see, you look at, you know, there's a reason that Coach K and, you know, Roy and Jay Wright and, you know, our boy, my buddy from Washington State, Tony Bennett, that went to Virginia. I mean, these are all guys that, you know, within the last 18 months, 24 months, they've decided that it's time for someone else, you know, to do it. And I think that a lot of that is the change in the NIL, but I really believe this is really, really good for the players, the guys. I mean, we knew something like this was going to happen for the last 10 or 12 years. I mean, we've been talking about it at the Final Four and the head coaches meeting, and something was going to change. It wasn't going to continue to the NCAA making all of this money, the billions of dollars from this tournament, and it wasn't going to trickle down to the players. Eventually it was. Yeah. I think the thing that if the coaches could go back and do it, that they would have got more involved in how it would have come down, instead of coming down from the courts and then, you know, pulling into where it's hard to put the cat back in the bag. And this is the way that they've started it, and it's probably going to way that it's going to be. And that's really, really good for the players, and it'll be a lot more normal for the coaches as they deal with it each year. And pretty soon, you know, to the people who don't like the change, the games are still the best. The fans, college, collegiate fans, are the greatest fans with most passion, and that's going to continue. How you get your team is going to change a little bit. So what I've told people who are really fighting it and really having a hard time with it, hey, after the national championship game, turn off the TV and don't read anything until you get to November 10th. Then turn the TV back on and start watching the games, you know, and it'll be exactly the same. It'll be like it's always been. You got coaches on the sideline and players playing, and it'll be you'll have a great time. But if you try to follow it all and where this guy was and where he came from and how much he was offered, that will be frustrating to you. So that's my advice anyways.
Coach Dave Rose, his career at BYU, 326 wins. Is that what I'm?
Incredible run.
I mean, awesome. I mean, over 70% win percentage, and of course the last two 30-win seasons that BYU has had as a program under his tutelage. And Coach, we appreciate you being able to come on the program here with us, and we love being able to chat with you about these things. And man, it's fun to watch. They're in Denver, and they've had success there, of course, and you were a part of that. And we're looking forward to this thing, and hopefully they can get a win against VCU and keep going. Yeah,
it'll be exciting. I think that you know, you get the pick and you put it in the East region. That's usually not that good. I mean, because we used to have to go all the way out east to play, but since they've changed the first round matchups and try to keep guys closer to home, we couldn't have picked a better venue to get to Denver. If we make it to the second weekend, going to New Jersey will be a little bit tougher. But I'm excited for the guys, excited for the coaching staff especially, because it takes a lot of pressure off your staff when you can get to that tournament, especially in your first year.
Coach, we appreciate it. Have fun watching these games, and all the best to you and your wife, of course, as usual. And thanks for being on the program.
Okay, thanks a lot, guys. Good luck to you.
Thanks, Coach. Appreciate you.
Coach Rose.